guess what? We miscalculated it. It's on the year to 2012, and I believe in December. And so we know there's a solar flare coming. So physically, there's something happening. And it's come out on the news. They're not wanting to talk about it. What's happened recently, as far as us connecting in oneness, which is what you're talking about. You're feeling the pain that you caused someone. And that's incredible, because that's entanglement. That's a quantum physics term. And that everything that all the quantum physicists believe in, they're not even spiritual, but they believe that everything's one. And so through physics, we can prove that what you're feeling is what we're heading towards.
So scientifically, you can, in quantum physics, you can prove feelings?
Well, you can quantify that we're all one. And so from that point on, it's faith. There's a big part of faith. And that we're going to be able to. One patient said, Dr. Lorenzo, no matter how much research you do, you're going to need a faith. You're going to need to take that leap of faith, and it can be a millimeter of distance, and you can still see the other side. But you still need that faith to cross over. And what's sad is that people aren't willing to take that leap. And it sounds like you have, and obviously, I mean, because you're going by emotion, by feeling. That's faith. And so people don't. And that's what I think our calling really is to really get people out there to say, hey, guess what? It's about faith. It's in you. It's just listen to yourself. Try not to listen to everyone else unless you really feel that you need to be listening to someone else. But trust yourself to move forward. And that's wonderful. I'm feeling exactly what you're feeling. Many of my friends are moving in that direction, and I believe that that's what 2012 is about, is becoming one. And the people that aren't, they're going to know that they're not in the right path. And by the mere fact that they can see that they're not on the right path, they may just move over, because they're more followers than leaders.
Maybe there's other dimensions. Maybe it's not like a reincarnation, but you just move on to basically a different perspective, or a different, so that you can see things in a different way, and then learn that lesson until you're finally able to see all the different spectrums.
That's exactly right. There's that perspective and reality, and what is reality. It's really all perspective. And that's why we can't judge anyone, because you move from one side to another side. There's infinite paths to look at something, infinite ways, and everybody, no one's necessarily wrong. There's really there's darkness out there. It's really chaos, is what it is. And we in physics, we talk about chaos, chaotic energy. It's about order and disorder, and how everything's moving from disorder to order. So, isn't that sound real spiritual? I mean, that sounds real religious. Hey, everything's moving from dark to good, and whatever word you want to use, but really it's order from disorder to order, and we have the frontal lobe in our brain that makes decisions, where animals don't have the frontal lobe. That's our free will. That's what differentiates us from every living individual.
Well, then here's a good question for you, Dr. Lerma, and I have a question coming in from chat about the same exact thing, which is, do you believe that people can choose when they want to die? You see that, a husband will die and the wife will die a month later, being a perfectly healthy person, because she just loses the will to live. What do you feel about that, and scientifically, what have you found about that?
You broke up there for a moment. Can you just repeat that again? I'm sorry.
Well, one of the questions in the chat room was, and that I was going to have too, as you were saying about free will, and our temporal lobe is where where we're able to have free will. Now, do you believe as a doctor that some people can choose to die? Like a husband will die and then a wife will die a month later because she just chooses not to live anymore. And scientifically, what do you think about that?
Well, first of all, not only do we believe it scientifically, there's research on that. And that, especially more often than not with men, if the wife passes, men will usually pass, even though they have no illness, within the first year, 6 months to a year. If the man passes, women will usually outlive. They won't die for a year. You know, they're the matriarchs. They're created differently, and they stay around longer. You know, yes,
is
they
it
have
the nurturing
hormonally.
factor?
They're different. Absolutely. No, yeah. I'm telling you. Look, women are really the bosses. Really, really. In reality, I'm not just making. They have to do everything. I mean, they have to take care of the family. They have to worry. Yeah, the men are the hunters, and the women, you know, they nest. But and that's really pretty much it. The men just react, and it's the men. We need the women, the feminine portion of women. And as they get older, the women, what ends up happening hormonally, their testosterone level, which is malish, ends up rising. And their estrogen, their feminine hormone, basically drops a little bit, and that's the menopause. But it sort of ends up, what they end up becoming, almost a figure between the masculine and the feminine. The men, on the other hand, their testosterone level drops dramatically, and their estrogen level increases right before they die, and so they become very emotional. And we've all probably noticed that men that become very old, you know, they cry easily, they become emotional. They start to understand things differently. Look at ex-President Bush, Papa Bush, you know, Senior Bush. You know, they'll show him. They'll show him, like, when his wife had his birthday or she was in the hospital. He was just crying. And here's this man, leader of the world, CIA director, who knows what else he did, is crying. So that's a clear fact that men change and they die faster, but women will hang around.
Well,
so
I think
to answer that question, yes, the men cannot handle it alone. They don't have that balance at the end, and so they tend to die when the women die, and they can will themselves to do that. I've seen it. I've seen one man that came in, his wife died, and he says, Dr. Lerma, you know, I want to be on hospice, I'm going to die, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I go, well, you know, you're 80-something. I guess I could put you on hospice if you're not eating right under what's called disability, unspecified. And one day he called me and he goes, I'm ready to die. Can I come into the hospital? And I go, well, you're not, do you have anything that you know, a symptom that I need to fix or treat? And he goes, I'm going to die. And, you know, I trust, you know, just because I have that spiritual side, I trusted that, and I really believed him. Any other doctor would have said, hell no.
Yeah, right.
You need to stay home, you know what, Medicare's not going to pay for that. And I said, no, come on in. Came in, he goes, go home, I'll be gone before the morning. And so he ate, we gave him dinner, and I asked him questions, and he says, yeah, he had been seeing his wife, and he already he had closure to everything. And sure enough, he died at 4 in the morning. The nurses said he just fell asleep and died.
Okay, so
how do you explain that?
Okay, you can't explain that. Okay, so the men are less emotional, but there's a reason for all of this. The men are the workhorse, and I'm going to go back to, you know, Little House on the Prairie days where the man had to go out and bring the food home to the woman, and then you're right, the woman took care of everything. They're the emotional stability of the house. Yet when we're driving to ValleyCon today, I'm going, Justin, get away from that truck, get away from this. You know, I don't like, you know, big rigs because, you know, the tires could come off and hit us, and I heard about a family who got decapitated. And that's stress on a body. So why aren't we physically, you know what I mean? Do you understand what I'm saying?
But you're not, because it's just, who knows? We're told, you know what, when people say, are they aliens on the planets? I tell you what, men and women are. When men look at women, I'm saying, that's an alien. And when women look at men, that's an alien. We're different. We're totally different. We're created differently. Yeah, we have lungs, heart, all that. But there's something greater. Something perfect in the creation of man and woman, and I think that it's just the men aren't going to have that. Women need to hang around, but men, if they hang around longer, unless that's just the way God created it. But men aren't going to have that worry side of their essence, watching out for their children, giving them that extra, you know, that extra comfort they need, that, you know, watching out for them. Where women are just, I don't care how they are, they're always. Mom, my mom's always still calling me. You know, I still call my mom when I get sick.
Sure.
And it makes me feel good. Would I call my dad? No.
But you know? I mean, Justin's mom called us as soon as we got here to make sure we got here okay too. But I mean, doesn't that put the stress on the body that would break the body down sooner? Or is it that the physical work that men do through the life is more than the emotional stress?
Yeah. You would think. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I don't understand it as a doctor. You would think. You would think. I have no clue. All I can tell you is, oh yeah, women with all the stress should have died a long time ago, but they're not, and they haven't, and in fact they're living longer. And you would think with all this stress, especially the financial and all that, but they're not. But it's this will. There's this incredible thing about will, and there's people that are dying that are originally 180 pounds. They have cancer. They're down to 90 pounds. They're not eating for weeks. Yeah, they're getting fluids, but and they won't die. And 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. You're not supposed to be able to live past 10 days without food per se.
You know what, John? John, I am so sorry to do this to you.
Oh, no. Yeah,
I have a time slot, and the show after me will cut me off here. So I want people to know, where can we find your books, read about your work, all that good stuff. I also want to schedule you again, because there's so many different aspects to this topic that I need to learn as a person, just myself anyway.
Yeah, I would love that, and I'd love to, because I'd really love if people just want to ask questions. That's a good way to do it, because I have so much information. But it's on Amazon.com, but any bookstore has it, and it's Into the Light and Learning from the Light. And I'm finishing up my third book. It's called Confirmation, pretty much confirmation that life does exist. And I want just people to understand, I'll leave them with, that life does exist. Don't worry. Try to be easy on yourself. It's a tough world.
It is. Try to learn a lesson from everything around you. There's a lesson in everything around you. I'm learning that one myself. But do we have a website that we can go look at?
Sure. It's drjohnlerma.com.
drjohnlerma.com.
Yeah, and it's DR, short, just the letters DR, and then JOHNLERMA.com.
Well, you are an amazing guest, and I am going to.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to have you on where I definitely am not at a conference. I mean, this was the only time slot I had left available.
Everything. Do not apologize. It's all perfect, okay? And I just want
it's happening the way it's supposed to. The universe is guiding us, right?
Well, God bless you, okay? All right.
Okay, well, you have a wonderful evening, and I will get back with you and reschedule to you to have you on here when I have some more openings in a couple months, if you're okay with that.
I am perfectly okay with that. Okay? God bless. All right.
God bless you too. Have a wonderful evening, everybody. That was John Lerma, with the author of Learning from the Light. An amazing interview. I really wish that we had a speaker system to set up so that other people here could have heard this conversation we're having. It was amazing. Make sure you're staying tuned for The Other Side, which is on next, and then Ghostology on Fate Friday nights. And come back next week for, I believe, Ursula. Justin, help me out. Who's my guest next week? Ursula, right? Under the Bed, children's stories, or spiritual protection. Yeah, one of the two. One of the two we've got.
It's Ursula.
I think it's Ursula. But we love you. Love, light, and peace. See you all next week.